Welcome back to another episode of Have You Heard, the podcast all about all things social, creative. And today we're going to be talking about all things Pinterest. And
Woohoo.
Pinterest predicts. They always bring out a report every single year, sometimes even multiple times a year. And we've been looking at their creative trends and how that's going to affect, I guess, our world as a social media agency.
Yeah.
I think there's always really good to look into these because they can obviously help us, if we're going to shoot planning and or locations, or how we're going to bring, I guess, creative to life that may be on trend or
graphic
relevant
design,
to things at the moment. Yeah, all those things. So I guess what's the first one that we wanted to talk about?
Cool. So I've picked out my top three from the whole report. It's a very long report, very insightful. So if you're looking for consumer trends, definitely a good place to head. So I picked out my top three. So my first one is Hipstoric Home.
It's an interesting way to say it, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit of a mouthful. But it's all about combining vintage, it says here, vintage and inherited pieces with modern styles. So this is an interesting one. I think this would work for a few clients we've got, whether it's like aesthetics in shoot locations, I think would be quite a good one for this one. But also for like design side of things, more like eclectic, everything not being perfect, bringing the old with the new, and adding like personality into things.
Yeah.
People don't want to see clean lines so much anymore, but sort of combining antiques, I guess, or just sort of more character into things would be a good place to start.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of ways that you can just pull like small things, I guess, out of these. It doesn't have to take the whole bigger topic. You can look at
the tiny little details. And the report is really good because it gives you key terms that people are searching for and how much the percentage has gone up by. So for example, eclectic interior design vintage has gone up by 850% searches on Pinterest. So it's really, really interesting, really insightful. Just a good sort of place to go if you need some inspo and bringing brands into that.
Yeah. So the other good thing about this and what you can pull from it, not only the creative side, I guess, on the maybe production planning or shoot planning and different locations, but I guess from more of a, Pinterest strategy point of view, you should be creating content that could rank for that keyword, or especially on the ad side. Can you create a piece of creative that matches that and deliver your product within that, and
absolutely
hit that keyword?
And I think in terms of our other departments as well, influencers might see like a change towards this. Like content creators, I think we'll see more and more of less sort of clean aesthetic, more sort of energetic, joyous, sort of eclectic, people being themselves, and just not afraid to sort of bring their personality. And if they want to be eclectic and have vintage interiors or clothes, they can have that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I guess it's one good way to think of like who is an up and coming influencers, like who's on the rise. If they're creating content about that individual niche style, they're probably seeing good growth themselves, good engagement rates. And as that's become more and more popular, that piece of content that you're getting them to work on now is going to be a part of their feed for a long time, and people are going to scroll back, see that as they continue to grow as well. So what's the second?
Cool. So my second one is all to do with well-being. I think coming out of COVID, I think people are still prioritizing well-being, if not more than ever. I think it's hard to adjust back to how things are now. So well-being is another trend that's just going to stick around for a while. So this next one is now processing. So people processing their emotions and lives and everything in between. So it's Gen Z and millennials are seeking alternatives to talk therapy, like art, music therapy, journaling, just more creative ways to sort of work on themselves. An interesting stat here is that expressive art therapy activities is up 120%, which is great. More creative people, the better. Happy to talk to anyone about being creative and finding creative ways to work in themselves and take time out is really, really important. So I think that's a really good trend to see.
Nice. And what's the third and final one that we've...
The third and final one, so is all about travel.
Yeah.
So I think people are getting back at it. I've just come back from Paris.
Don't rub it in.
Sorry. So this one is more about sustainable travel, reducing that carbon footprint whilst you're traveling. So, you know, I took the Eurostar instead of flying. It was really, really good.
Nice.
Loved it. And it's just a different way to look at things and your outlook, and bringing sustainability into things. So for example, train trip aesthetic search keyword is up 205%. So people are loving a train aesthetic. Yeah. But getting that into like designs, I think, is really important as well. So whether you're making your, like, if it's graphic design, whether you're making them more natural, with like more minimalist textures, is really key there, or sort of more natural backdrops. If you're on location, maybe looking for like outdoor locations or bringing the outside in. And we have a really lovely wine brand where we can have more fun with like flowers, and it's all very floral and lovely, and just sort of bringing that in.
It's another thing from that you could consider is, I guess, that wider piece of your like brand messaging, not only like the creative, but, or, you know, in an authentic way is obviously a must, but like, how do you build that brand story? Like what is your purpose? What's that deeper meaning behind it? Yeah. You know, does it relate back to sustainability, and how can you deliver that brand message in a authentic way through your copy, through your creative?
Yeah. And like if brands are doing sustainable practices, like reducing their carbon footprint with like delivery or more eco-friendly packaging, it's definitely something to like shout about on social, because people are interested and people do take that into consideration when they're making more eco-consumer decisions.
Friendly purchases. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, no, I do love the Pinterest predicts, and I know from looking at it and previous Pinterest predicts, they're sort of like right on like at like a 90% level. Yeah, they really can see what is trending. They're like
mind readers.
Yeah. I guess they've got so much data on like what people are, I guess, not only, you know, searching from like a visual point of view. It's not like search where you can obviously see a lot of trends in there as well, but Pinterest is that a blend between that visual social platform but also a search engine, so it just has that
it's like my go-to place. If I'm doing a mood board for a client, we've got a shoot coming up, I will go straight to Pinterest. Shout out to Pinterest, because I will just create mood board after mood board from Pinterest. It really is like a really powerful tool, whether you're creative or data ad driven, or content creators, influencer side. It's really handy.
Absolutely. But yeah, thank you very much for everyone listening today. Make sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel if you're watching there, or follow us across all the podcast platforms as well, as we'll be sure to deliver more and more podcasts, all things social, creative, paid media and influencer. So thank you very much.